There have been many great thinkers throughout the history of man who have shaped the world as we know it. This group of brilliant men and women have left their mark on the unyielding tapestry that is the human experience. Yet one such genius has long been overlooked. One man whose humble beginnings did not stop him from changing the world as we know it. That man is the most profound philosopher of the mid-1990s, Homer Simpson.
Okay, so maybe he's not quite on par with Einstein or Edison, but you may be surprised to learn that there are several times in the long-running Simpsons cartoon where Homer proves to be more than the idiot you think he is. Okay, there are definitely some moments that make him seem like, alright, we get it, Homer doesn't always make the best choices. That doesn't mean there isn't a latent genius buried deep within that yellow melon of his. Okay, maybe buried really deep. Here are all the times Homer proved he was the smartest character on The Simpsons. All the times being a minimum of 10. There is one episode in the series that proves without a shadow of a doubt that Homer really is as smart as we suspected. The episode titled Homer in the 12th season of the cartoon definitely shows that Homer is actually a genius. Evidently, he got a crayon shoved so far into his nose that it was poking his brain. This supposedly led to a drastic decrease in intelligence for him. Once he got the crayon removed, we see a whole new side of America's favorite animated dad. Sorry, Peter Griffin and Bob Belcher, you were close. This Homer Simpson shows off his talents all over town, but he quickly wears out his welcome. His brilliant antics annoy the townspeople as he spoils movies for them with his analytical wit and gets a nuclear power plant shut down for the dangers it produces. Eventually, Homer has enough and decides to have the crayon put back. This isn't before he leaves a note to his equally brilliant daughter, Lisa, telling her that he finally understands her. Then Lisa shares a warm hug with her dumbed-down father, to which Homer replies, hug. The episode proves that there is more intelligence to Homer than meets the eye. Perhaps some of his seemingly brilliant moments throughout the series can be attributed to his genius leaking out. A crayon can only hold back so much genius, you know. In the Season 2 episode Simpson and Delilah, Homer decides to make a big physical change. He uses a sketchy drug to grow back his hair. This seems like the sort of wacky scenario that wouldn't work out for Homer, but the hair actually does come up from his head. Within no time at all, Homer has luscious, Legolas-length hair, which scores him an immediate promotion into an executive position. What's even more surprising is that Homer initially succeeds in his new role. What with this being a 30-minute Simpsons episode, though, it didn't last long. Eventually, Bart spills all of his medication, his assistant gets fired, and Smithers uncovers the insurance fraud that Homer accidentally committed to get the hair in the first place. A newly bald Homer has to give a speech in front of the entire company. His assistant wrote out the speech for him, but Homer still manages to deliver it like an expert. Despite this, no one's interested in what he has to say. This actually leads to a really sweet moment where Marge sings to a depressed Homer who failed despite actually doing a good job for once. This does show that while Homer usually does an awful job at work, he is capable of more when he applies himself. All he needs is hair, apparently. Patrick Stewart manages just fine without it, Homer, but whatever. The Simpsons is famous for the times it shows that we are all living in a computer simulation like The Matrix, and Matt Groening and the other writers are clearly Neo outside of The Matrix looking in. There are multiple examples where the show accurately predicts the future down to absurd levels of detail. The most ridiculous of these moments actually supports the idea that Homer might be a secret genius despite the whole brain crayon situation. In the episode The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer becomes self-conscious because he's never contributed anything to society. He decides to model himself after Thomas Edison and become an inventor. He successfully invents several different devices, most of which weren't well received. He does eventually create an electric hammer that does get recognition, but it's accidentally attributed to Edison instead of Homer. The most impressive part of the episode is actually where Homer writes out a formula that comes very close to the mass of a Higgs boson particle years before it's discovered by scientists. This either proves that Homer Simpson is a genius, or the writers are. In the Season 6 episode Lisa's Rival, Homer gets involved in a ridiculous scheme that doesn't seem like it will be anything special. He steals a massive amount of sugar and tries various methods to make a fortune off of it. While this seems incredibly juvenile, it actually leads to one of Homer's most eloquent moments. Homer desperately tries to protect his massive pile of sugar against bees and random Englishmen who need the sugar for their tea. Marge then tries to talk Homer into letting his crazy sugar plan go. This results in Homer delivering an eloquent speech about how he is tired of being part of the humdrum humdrum middle class. This might be his only chance at a better life. It's one of the incredibly surprising moments where Homer can somehow be both an idiot and a brilliant man at the same time. That's the Homer Simpson special. The Simpsons has had a lot of cool cameos in its long existence, but one was definitely the smartest of the bunch. Sorry, Neil deGrasse Tyson, this one's gotta go to the one and only Stephen Hawking. The famous genius appeared first in the episode They Saved Lisa's Brain. He was hoping to find a utopia, but instead found the very flawed Springfield as we all know and love. While most of the episode is about Lisa, there is a hilarious moment between Homer and Hawking. Stephen is shown at Moe's Tavern sharing a drink with Homer. He admits that he's jealous of Homer's theory that the universe is shaped like a donut. What's funny about this is there actually is a real-life theory that points to that exact sort of shape of the universe. So while it may have been played as just a joke about Homer's obsession with donuts, it's still possible his genius is showing. Either way, it's one of Hawking's best cameos in the show. Except his cameo as Mecha Hawk in the Simpsons Tapped Out video game, which was much cooler. One of the funniest running jokes in The Simpsons features Homer having conversations with his brain, who explains things to him.
$20 can buy many peanuts. Explain how.
This shows that there are definitely parts of his brain that are more intelligent than others. Perhaps this is the manifestation of genius Homer trying to talk to him. Certainly it can't be just a throwaway gag that we weren't meant to take seriously. If we can't critically analyze the minds of our favorite cartoon characters, what are we even doing? This one might be a hypothetical, but it shows that members of Homer's family also believe that there is intelligence just under the surface of that yellow goofball we have all come to love. In 4 Great Women and a Manicure, Marge tells Lisa a story about herself as a stand-in Lady Macbeth. In the story, she's working for a theater and convinces Homer to kill Sideshow Mel in order to secure the lead role in Macbeth. Sure enough, with Mel out of the picture, Homer gets the role. Of course, it goes about as well as you'd expect. Homer is a miserable failure with the material, and the play itself becomes a train wreck. Later in the episode, Marge is killed for her crimes, but still inhabits the theater as a ghost. She then watches as an impassioned Homer gives a brilliant soliloquy. It shows that deep inside, he is the brilliant man she's always wanted him to be. Sure, this moment didn't technically happen, but it does paint a picture of what Marge Simpson thinks of her husband. Throughout all these years of enduring Homer's wacky antics, she still believes someone great is lying just beneath the surface. This insight shows us that maybe there really is more to Homer than meets the eye. It may be long past its prime, but once upon a time, the 2011 series Homeland was the television darling at the moment. It follows the story of Claire Danes' agent Carrie Matheson from Homeland Security as she tries to stop an upcoming terrorist attack. The attack may or may not be orchestrated by Damian Lewis's ex-POW Nicholas Brody. The investigation led to an unexpected romance between the two that complicated Carrie's ability to trust her own judgment, that and her bipolar disorder. This overly complicated premise and the surprising success that came with it made it the perfect subject to parody for the Simpsons season 25 premiere. In Homerland, Lisa suspects her father might be a secret terrorist. She even enlists the support of Agent Ann Crawford, an obvious parody of Claire Danes' character. Lisa follows Homer into the nuclear power plant where he's hidden a device of some kind. Homer explains that he isn't a terrorist, but has actually been taken in by an eco-friendly activist group. His plan was to just put spoiled milk and utility chicken into the air conditioner to get the power plant shut down. While this idea may seem juvenile, Lisa points out that it was actually a great way to shut down the plant without hurting anyone. It doesn't directly help the situation, but it does call attention to the fact that the air conditioners have never worked in the plant and Mr. Burns ends up getting arrested for it. This is just another example of how Homer can be incredibly competent when he needs to be. In The Simpsons movie, Homer makes a series of poor decisions. He drives his son to the tutelage of his arch-nemesis, pollutes the town to a point where it is nearly destroyed by the US government, and becomes an enemy to the town of Springfield. The town ends up getting quarantined inside of a dome and the Simpsons have to run to Alaska. When it becomes obvious that the town is about to be destroyed, the family rushes back to save it without the disgruntled Homer. It's here that Homer has one of his few moments of self-reflection and growth as he watches footage from his wedding to Marge. Luckily for his family and the city of Springfield, Homer gains his redemption in the end and ends up saving them all from imminent destruction. In a very short time, Homer proves himself to be a master of disguise, scales the dome, and reconciles with his son to race a motorcycle at the side of the dome to save the day. The movie proves that while Homer is often an idiot, there is a talented hero deep inside. Probably the biggest piece of evidence is Homer's song he sings over his excitement around college education.
I am too smart. I am too smart.
I mean, if that isn't a genius right there, what is? Seriously though, this is the episode where Homer actually goes to college. While most of the story plays out in the standard Simpsons hijinks way, in the end Homer does end up with a college degree. This seems to definitely prove that Homer isn't the idiot he pretends to be. That or the college will pump out degrees to just about anyone. But that's ridiculous. That would mean that all of my student debt was for Oh, don't! So now every time you watch an episode of The Simpsons, you'll look deeper into the eyes of that ridiculous cartoon character and wonder if there isn't a genius behind his idiotic actions. Is Homer secretly the greatest philosopher of our time? Are donuts the secret to life's happiness? We'll let you decide in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great Simpsons content like this. Thanks for watching.